Do you have any idea how annoying it is to enjoy tropical print shirts and also be into guns? Reddit was a mistake. So this is my MAC-10 clone. The reason I say it's a MAC-10 clone is because A, it's not made by the Military Arms Corporation or Ingram or Cobra. And for the most part, it's built off of a VMAC 45 parts kit from Velocity Firearms. So the reason I decided to build something like this is because everything in my collection for the most part is some kind of duty raid rifle or military clone. And so I wanted something that says I am God's silliest gun builder. So how does one even start building a MAC-10? Well, let me ask you this. Has this ever happened to you? Oh, sweet. A roll pin. I can make a Mark 12 out of this. Yeah, so basically I came across a really cheap parts kit for a MAC-10 frame, a semi-auto MAC-10 frame, and I decided that I would build it out. So all said and done, I think I wrapped up like $750 into this stupid gun before the Cerakote and the optic. So I would not recommend this gun to anybody. But at least now I have like a super eccentric gun that I get to show off to people, so there's that. I guess this is kind of like my barbecue gun or my conversation piece from the safe. So getting into some of the characteristics, yes, this is 45 ACP. This thing is chonky, all right? Moreover, unloaded, it weighs 5.5 pounds, and loaded, it comes out to 7 pounds, 12 ounces. This thing is, this thing is really heavy for what it is, and a lot of it has to do with the bolt. It takes M3 grease gun magazines. Not every M3 magazine that I've come across will work with this, but I have my working ones picked out. The original grease gun uses a locking tab up here on the right side of the magazine, similar to like what you'd see on an AR-15. In this case, this welded strap around the top of the magazine here is where the latch on this MAC-10 clone catches. All right, so if you come across an M3 magazine that has a longer or shorter, you know, reinforcement strap around it, then it's not going to work in this thing, obviously. Now the RMR that's on here, it's an RMR 09. It's got a giant amber dot on this thing. I got a good deal on it at a gun show. I couldn't pass it up. And after getting it, I kind of regretted buying it, but now I have a use for it. Moreover, this RMR mount, I machined this myself. There is not another like it in this universe. I drilled and tapped it right onto the frame of this thing. So it's one of a kind. So let's do some practical shooting. Let's do an accuracy test. So right now I'm standing at about 25 yards. I'm going to put 3 rounds on the target and then we'll move back farther. Easy day. This is about 35 yards. All right, let's move back to 45. This is where it starts to get really challenging because My dot's about to be as big as the target. Buy cheap sunglasses so you can do cool guy stuff like that. Two. Three. All right, let's go to 50. Can you even see the target? I don't think you can. Not really. Okay. All right. One. There's a miss. 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 All right, obviously I gotta go to the gym more. Most of the fatigue is coming from just holding the thing up. Otherwise, I would say that this is absolutely an accurate firearm. It's the shooter. There's a hit. Whatever, I'll take 2 hits. So the next thing that's on everyone's mind is, why on earth did I paint it up in like some kind of Miami Vice themed crack 10 type thing? Well, originally I was going to do some kind of mock parkerizing Cerakote, but then one of my coworkers ordered in the Canik TP9 limited edition Miami Days and Miami Nights pistols. If you haven't seen those before, go look them up, they're pretty sweet. And after seeing those, I was like, man, I have a blank canvas here and I need to take advantage of it. So if you're wondering, this is Cerakote paired with a stencil. There's 5 different colors here, actually 6 if you count the frame. The guys down at American Arms Indoor Range did that, so I will shamelessly plug them in because I work for them. But moreover, if you are in Southern Indiana and you need some kind of sweet Cerakote job done, go to those guys because they will absolutely knock it out of the park. Now, one of the major concerns I had when drafting up this paint job is that we started it in May and we finished it in June. Well, as you know, there's a certain celebration that takes place in the West during the month of June. And I didn't want this to be associated with it in any way, shape, or form, despite its eccentric appearance. Now, I've shown this thing off to a lot of people, and the general consensus is that this is not prideful. So moving on to the internals, the first question I usually get with this thing is it full auto? And no, it's not, and thank God, because I couldn't imagine this thing in full auto. That'd be ridiculous. You have to have a stock if you're going to do that. But anyways, this does fire from the closed bolt. It operates off of a hammer system similar to an AR-15's hammer. So with the VMAC parts kit, if you were to open this thing up, what you find is pretty much the ubiquitous semi-auto Mac platform that you're going to find with like Masterpiece arms or anything, and that is a hammer system that's similar to an AR-15, as well as 2 big trigger bars that run the length of the frame. Now, I don't know if the engineer's intent with that was to be within ATF compliance to make sure that you weren't going to be able to make a machine gun or an SBR, but having those trigger bars in there, which are essential to the operating system of the firearm, it will block a collapsible stock, like an original Ingram or Mac collapsible stock. So as long as you have that semi-auto trigger system in there, that's not going to work. Now, if you go to do your own, homebrew Mac build, those trigger kits that you get at first are really janky. All right, now when I first got it, the trigger was super creepy, it was wobbly. I had this weird hang fire effect where it was a mechanical hang fire as opposed to like a primer powder problem. But since then, I've tuned this thing, I've gotten things tightened up. I did this voodoo where I sleeved a copper tube through the trigger and over the trigger pin, so it's nice and solid and smooth now. It's good stuff. Moreover, I actually made this trigger pretty nice. So after I got it functioning safely and reliably, what I did was I went in with a Dremel and I put a mirrored finish polish on all the sear surfaces of the trigger, bar, and hammer. So it actually turned out pretty nice. Focus, thank you. So first stage, you hit a very slight wall and then follow through. Now the thing with the semi-auto Mac triggers is that on the reset, it'll actually kick the trigger forward, but you can't feel it under live fire. Okay, so you saw it move slightly. Here's the reset. Very crisp reset, and you're back on the wall again. The next thing I want to talk about is the safety. I'm pretty proud of this. I wanted to go with a sliding safety as opposed to the AR style looking selector that you typically see on the front here, just because I already have these markings here, and why not? The thing is, you can't get a sliding safety for any of the semi-auto models, so I had to build this thing completely from scratch. So yeah, I got some nice positive detent clicks there. I will say that I bought this little sliding component here from, I think it was from Apex, and then the rest I machined myself. So I think the only thing I haven't talked about on this yet is probably the barrel. The barrel is, I don't know, 6 or 7 inches. I didn't look it up. I don't care. I do know that it has 7/8 by 9 threads on it. Okay, and that's a standard 45 caliber Mac thread. So the only two suppressors I'm aware of that'll go on this are offerings from Gentek and Psionics. And if you have the money for a Psionics suppressor, you might as well just go get a registered transferable machine gun. So at some point, I might actually change out the barrel. The barrel came with the kit. There are barrels available with both the 7/8 by 9 thread and also, 9/16 by 28 or whatever. Now, reliability. This thing's actually pretty doggone reliable, so long as you're using ball FMJ ammunition. All right, now I've tried to run hollow points in this thing. It just won't feed. And frankly, I don't care, because there's no situation I could see where I would use this in a self-defense scenario. But if I did, I would go down in meme history forever. When I first started filming my beginning shooting montage, this thing was completely dry, and I was actually getting some failure to feed issues. In particular, what happens is it feeds about halfway into the chamber, you go to pull the trigger, and all you get is a click, and then you have hammered down round and battery, but no bang. So, like any gun, keep it wet and it'll keep running. So gentlemen, the sun's going down, I'm running out of daylight, so I'll conclude the video with this. If you still live in an apartment, you should not be buying guns like this. By all means, you should square away your primary and your secondary. Get a Glock 19, a good AR-15 with proper glass on top, and beyond that, you need to be saving your money. So you can get out of the city, escape the pod, and live the life that God intended for you. That's all. Stay safe. These chickens are not phased at all by 45. Wasn't even recording. Check this out. This is the latest in stabilization technology. Ooh.